Welcome to the NEMECYS podcast, where we explore how to secure connected medical devices by design. Join us as we dive into the innovations and insights shaping the future of cybersecurity in healthcare.
All right, so today we're diving into connected medical devices, but we're going way past the basics.
Okay.
Like really hitting the cybersecurity front lines. We're talking home dialysis,
Yeah.
Parkinson's management with wearables,
Wow.
even using your phone like as a regulated medical device.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the future, right?
It is. It is. And it's really amazing how fast everything's moving.
Yeah.
Like the applications we're seeing is just mind-blowing.
So, okay, like paint me a picture.
Okay.
What would this actually look like for someone who's dealing with something like end-stage kidney disease?
So picture this. Instead of having to constantly go to the hospital for dialysis,
Right.
you're at home. You're wearing bioimpedance monitoring patches.
Okay.
They're tracking like your hydration levels,
Wow.
sending that data straight to your healthcare team.
So it gives the patient more freedom,
Exactly.
but it also gives doctors more data
Yeah.
to really personalize that treatment.
100%. And, take Parkinson's, for example. You can use wearables now to continuously monitor the symptoms, even how well someone's sticking to their medication.
Wow.
And that gives doctors just a constant stream of information
Yeah.
so they can tailor the therapies in real time.
It's almost like having a virtual doctor with you all the time.
Yeah.
It's pretty revolutionary. But
Yeah.
all that connectivity, obviously raises a huge question. How do we keep this data safe?
Right.
We don't want our health records just floating around for anyone to grab.
Absolutely. And that's what's so interesting about what we're diving into today.
Okay.
This paper called NEMECYS, Addressing Challenges to Building Security into Connected Medical Devices.
Okay.
And it really takes this cybersecurity question head on.
Just from the title, it sounds pretty intense. So, how is this different from just a basic cybersecurity manual?
It's not just about firewalls and passwords.
Right.
The NEMECYS project, that's what this paper's all about.
Okay.
It tackles the issue from 3 different angles: guidelines, risk-benefit schemes, and custom toolboxes for every stage of, a device's life.
3 angles.
Yeah.
That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
So let's start with guidelines.
Sure.
What's wrong with the ones we have now?
Well, they're often lagging behind the technology.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. How do you regulate a smartphone app that's also a medical device?
Right.
It's getting blurrier and blurrier.
Yeah.
So NEMECYS is looking at all the existing rules to find those gaps and propose solutions that actually work in the real world.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But just having the rules doesn't mean people will follow them,
Right.
especially if security makes devices more expensive or harder to use.
You're absolutely right. And that's where these risk-benefit schemes come in.
Okay.
It's all about finding that balance between having really strong security and making sure these devices actually help patients and don't make things harder for them.
It's like a balancing act.
Exactly.
Not a one-size-fits-all.
Exactly.
What about these toolboxes you mentioned? What's the idea there?
This is where NEMECYS is really innovative.
Okay.
They're creating specific tools for every person involved.
Okay.
From the companies making the devices, to the people putting them into hospital systems, to the operators keeping everything running smoothly.
Tailored solutions for each player in the game.
Exactly.
Okay, can you give me an example?
Yeah.
What would a toolbox for a device manufacturer actually look like?
Imagine software that allows them to simulate real-world situations, to uncover weaknesses before the device is even out there, or
Wow.
risk assessment tools that are specifically designed to weigh security against the benefit to the patient.
Okay.
It's about solving problems before they even happen.
Being proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
Okay, so they're thinking ahead. That's good.
Yeah.
But security is only one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
What about the actual benefits of all these devices? We talked about home dialysis earlier.
Yes.
Walk me through how that could actually change someone's life.
Think about all the time and energy spent going back and forth to appointments.
Yeah.
With home dialysis, patients have so much more freedom. They can live a more normal life while still getting this vital treatment.
That's a huge improvement for their quality of life.
Absolutely.
Okay, what about Parkinson's?
Yeah.
What kind of information could wearables provide that doctors aren't getting now?
We're talking continuous monitoring. So instead of relying on these occasional checkups,
Right.
doctors can see in real time how the disease is progressing.
Wow.
They can see how symptoms change throughout the day, how medication is affecting movement, and even tiny changes. That might be a warning sign.
It's like having a window into the disease.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
all this data collection raises some privacy concerns.
Yeah.
People might not want to share that much personal information, even with their doctors.
You're right to bring that up.
Yeah.
That's a crucial aspect, and NEMECYS is definitely addressing it. But before we get into their approach, let's look at another case study.
Okay.
Software as a medical device, or SAMD.
Right, you mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Where apps on our phones are becoming like regulated medical tools.
Exactly.
Feels like uncharted territory. How do you even start to secure something like that?
That is a great question. And it shows just how complex this whole landscape is.
Right.
SAMD has a whole set of its own security challenges, especially because our personal devices are so intertwined with our lives.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation for our next segment.
Okay. You're leaving us hanging.
I am.
But this is really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
The future of healthcare is definitely connected, but it seems like NEMECYS is at least trying to build that future with security in mind from the very beginning.
100%. And what's so impressive is their focus on making things practical.
Okay.
They're not just talking about abstract solutions.
Right.
They're developing tools and guidelines that can actually be used in the real world.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dig into those specifics in our next segment.
Okay.
But for now, we'll leave everyone with that cliffhanger. To be continued.
Indeed.
Welcome back, everyone.
So last time we were kind of on the edge of this digital cliffhanger.
Right.
Like, how do you secure something as common as a smartphone app
Yeah.
when it becomes a regulated medical device?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
You've got this tool for managing your health, but it's on a device that people use for everything.
Right.
Banking, social media, who knows what else.
It's a security nightmare
It could be.
if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
So how does NEMECYS deal with this whole software as a medical device thing? Do they just say, good luck, app developers?
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Remember those toolboxes we talked about?
Yeah.
That's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
They've got resources specifically for those app developers.
Making sure security is built in from the start, not an afterthought.
So it's about preventing problems, not just fixing them later.
Exact.
So what does that actually look like?
Okay, so imagine a bunch of testing tools that can simulate all sorts of threats.
Okay.
Like hackers trying to get data malware, even accidental data leaks.
Wow.
And by finding these weaknesses early on, developers can fix them before the app even launches.
It's like a crash test dummy, but for apps.
Exactly.
So they're really trying to make sure it can handle the real world.
Yeah, and it's not just about the app itself. It's also about the environment it's running in. We're talking about personal devices with different levels of security.
Right.
So NEMECYS provides guidance on how to account for that, how to build in safeguards, even if the user's phone isn't as secure as it could be.
It's like layers of protection, knowing that you can't have perfect security, but you can at least minimize the risks.
Yeah.
What about those other toolboxes? The ones for system integrators and operators?
Right. So system integrators,
Yeah.
they're the ones who bring all these different devices together into a larger network, like in a hospital.
Right.
It's really complex.
Yeah.
You've got monitoring systems, diagnostic tools, even things like smart infusion pumps all talking to each other.
Yeah. If one piece fails, the whole thing could be vulnerable.
Exactly.
So what does NEMECYS offer them?
They've developed tools that help integrators map out the entire system,
Okay.
identifying potential weaknesses and recommending solutions.
Okay.
It's like a constant security audit,
Wow.
adapting to new devices and new threats.
So it's like a blueprint,
Right.
highlighting all the vulnerabilities and giving them a plan to fix them.
Exactly.
And the operators, they're the ones on the front lines,
Yeah.
making sure everything's running smoothly.
Right.
So what do they get?
For them, it's all about real-time monitoring and quick response.
Okay.
NEMECYS gives them these dashboards. They can see the whole network and any suspicious activity or potential breaches. It's like a security control center,
Right.
keeping an eye on everything.
So instead of reacting after a breach, they can stop it before it even happens.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But all this sounds expensive. Could this make it hard for smaller companies or hospitals with less money to keep up?
It's a valid concern, and NEMECYS knows that they're looking into different ways to make these tools available, including open source options and partnerships.
Okay.
The goal is to make security accessible for everyone
That's good.
so that everyone can protect patient data.
It sounds like they're thinking about the big picture,
Right.
not just the big companies.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but let's switch gears for a minute.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about risks,
Right.
but what about the benefits? We talked about home dialysis.
Yeah.
What other exciting things are on the horizon?
Oh, there are so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Imagine personalized medication management,
Okay.
where a smart pill dispenser tracks if you're taking your meds and alerts your doctor if there's a problem,
Okay.
or remote monitoring for chronic conditions, where sensors track your vital signs and send alerts if something's wrong.
So healthcare could become more proactive,
Right.
more personalized, and even more preventative.
Exactly.
That's really exciting.
It is, but it's crucial that we do this responsibly.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have to make sure these devices are secure, but also fair and accessible to everyone.
Right.
We can't let the digital divide make existing health disparities even worse.
That's such an important point.
Yeah,
Access and equity have to be part of the conversation from the beginning.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the core of what NEMECYS is trying to do. Finding that balance between innovation security and actually implementing things responsibly.
It's complicated, but it seems like they're on the right track.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm impressed with how practical they are and that they're thinking about the bigger societal impact of all this.
They are definitely pushing the boundaries of what's possible in connected healthcare.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just build cool gadgets.
Right.
You'd have to think about how those gadgets affect people.
Well said.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the world of connected medical devices.
Okay.
We've covered a lot. The potential, the security risks, the ethical concerns.
Yeah.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, and I want to thank all of our listeners for coming along with us.
Yeah.
We hope you've learned something new and that you'll keep exploring this fast-changing field.
The future of healthcare is being shaped right now, and it's a future we can all be part of.
Absolutely.
So stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay engaged in the conversation.
Because the future of connected healthcare isn't just about technology.
Right.
It's about people. And it's a future worth fighting for.
The NEMECYS project is co-funded by the European Union, with additional support from UKRI and the Swiss State Secretariat for Education, Research and Innovation. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect those of the European Union or the granting authorities.